Mike, what's the best gift to get during the holidays?
Board games, obviously, duh. This is the best games to gift this year for board game stuff. Yeah. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike.
I'm Nick.
We are the Brothers Murphy. It's time to talk about our holiday gift guide.
Our holiday gift guide. Now, it's the very beginning of November when we're releasing this. We want to give people some time to get games.
We're kind of starting to think of that. We
want to do this on, like, if you celebrate Christmas, we don't want to do this on December 23rd.
Be a little late.
But nonetheless, these are games that are great to gift during the holidays or just really gift in general, right?
Yes, I think so. It's a giving time of year. So we're going to talk about some games that we think would be great gifts. Indeed. We're going to actually release more games that we think would be great gifts over on our Patreon. So if you're a patron, even for just $1, you can get all of our supplemental top 10 lists, including today. And I want to know in the comments below right now, what's a game that you want to gift or get as a gift this year so we can get the conversation going.
Indeed. And we're going to break this down, not necessarily as like a top 10 list, but more into categories. Yes. Like these are great stocking stuffers. These are great for this because it's just kind of hard to... Games come in lots of different sizes and weights and stuff like that. So we're like, let's break it down more into categories and let's get to the first one. That's right. So we're going to talk about stocking stuffers. So these are small games you can throw into a stocking or some kind of small gift game.
Small portable games.
Yeah, exactly. Something we can throw in there. So the first one we have is Scout. This kind of took over the world this year because did it win the Spiel?
Deservedly so. I cannot remember.
I can't remember, but it was not for the Spiel des Jahres. People were all talking about it. But it's this tiny little ladder climbing game, really, really small by Oink Games. And this is a ladder climbing game. So someone is going to play a card in the middle of the table. That could be like a 3. And the next person in line has to beat that card. So they can put down like
higher.
A 6 or whatever. But you could also put down a straight. So a 3-4 would beat like a 10, basically.
Yes.
But then pairs beat straights. So a 3-4, a 1-1 would beat a 3-4.
Right, that's kind of the power rankings, is any sort of set of the same number will always beat a run, which always beats a single high card.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so you're constantly trying to outdo the person before you. Yep. And then, but if you can't or don't want to, you can instead scout, which means you're going to throw them a point, they're going to get a point, and you're going to take one of the cards from that and put it into your hand. But your hand is kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah, your hand is something that you can't just shuffle your cards around and rearrange them however you want. Whatever order they arrive in, they must stay in. You can flip your entire hand over, which will give you different numbers, but otherwise you're stuck with what you got. But when you scout, you can slot in a card either way up in any part of your hand. And that's how you can kind of, if you have a 4 and a 6, you put a 5 in, now you have 4, 5, 6. And you can have a little more flexibility with what you play.
And it's a really fun game. It's pretty darn simple. Like you can teach it to most people, and it's just really, really fun. And just that puzzle of trying to make your hand, how you got it, work is so much fun. And Scout is also, it's just this tiny little game. Pop in a stocking. It's really, really fun.
Like running like $20.
It's a really good game. Yeah. So that's our first stocking stuffer.
Next one here is actually a series of games. There's different ones, which is kind of great. It's called Echoes. It's from Ravensburger. Now this is kind of in the series of like exit games. They kind of do the escape room thing in a board game. Now Echoes in particular is app driven.
Yes.
And it's all audio based.
Yes.
So it'll give you kind of like a radio play.
It gives you like a scene. Yeah.
It gives you a scene and different things you can explore. And you're going to listen in on conversations people had. The one we played was a cocktail, and at one point, like you're listening to drinks get made, and the sound effects that come from that, all the Foley work, will give you clues as to like what you're looking for.
Like what drinks did they have? And so the drinks, but you heard like 2 ice cubes, like
he's like that's someone's signature drink is this.
You're like, oh, that one had 2 ice cubes, and you heard 2 different things being poured, so it must be a mixed drink, and you can deduce what is going on through this scene.
And you have basically cards and stuff that will show you the scene as well. And so, but everything kind of locks into listening to the story play out. And from that, you gather information and you're kind of doing the whodunit.
Yeah.
It's a cool way of doing these kind of exit games. It's just different in that it's this kind of, very well produced radio play. Yeah. We were like, this is a cool way to do this.
It's a cool concept.
And it felt a little bit on the easier side than some of the other exit games. Now, of course, all those games have different difficulty levels. This one felt a little bit easier to kind of get into and do. It might be better for like the family to all listen around the radio for like what's happening.
Indeed, and there's a bunch of different themes for them, so you can kind of choose the theme you want, or if you really like them, there's more of these, so you can go do that. It's a really cool little system, and again, it's a very small little box.
Super cheap, you can gift it on to, if you play it, you can then gift it to somebody else.
It's a really cool little stocking stuffer, so those are our stocking stuffers.
Yes.
And let's get into white elephant gifts. Now, Mike had this idea for a category. I was like, this is a great idea because a lot of times there's like holiday parties or just like winter parties or summer parties if you're in the Southern Hemisphere.
Give someone something weird that's usually pretty affordable and stuff.
But it's meant to be kind of odd, right? And so these games that we have are both great games, but they just, from the outset, look kind of weird.
Yeah.
And the first one we'll say is Abandon All Artichokes. Now, again, Abandon All Artichokes is a great little deck wrecking game where you start off with a hand of 10 artichokes, and your goal is to draw a hand with no artichokes. So you're getting these different vegetable cards, which will allow you to manipulate your hand, maybe allow you to get rid of artichokes, maybe allow you to pass cards to other players and stuff like that. And you're playing out these vegetable cards, hoping to get rid of artichokes, and at the end of your turn, you draw back to 5 cards. If there's no artichokes, boom, you just won.
That's all you're trying to do. Play the odds.
Really, really fun game. Great filler game, but it just looks odd. It's in a little artichoke-shaped
That's
tin.
what's so cool about it. It's like if someone pulls it out, they have this wrapped thing, and it's not a square, and it's like shaped like a little artichoke. And like that's kind of a cool.
And the first thing they'll be like,
presence.
"What is this?" And you're like, "That's why it's good for a white elephant."
That's a board game right there.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So we like the gameplay, of course. It's really cute, and the packaging. We're not always big fans of like non-standard boxes, but the artichoke tin, absolutely 10 out of 10.
Pass, yeah.
Would recommend. That's a great one. The other one we have, which is also very much based on odd packaging, is a game called Bag of Chips.
So good.
This is a game that comes in a bag of chips. It looks like a legit bag of chips, and it's a little kind of press your luck speculation game where you have all these like chips that are different flavors or different colors and stuff. And what you're going to be doing is you have these different objectives where you're hoping to have like 3 salt and vinegar chips. Stuff like that. And you have these 6 objectives.
Potato chips than teriyaki chips or something like that.
And different ones based on like how easy it would be to achieve that goal, because there's more potato chips than the chicken flavored chips. They'll be worth more or less points.
Yeah.
And every time what you're going to do is you're going to draw like 5 chips to start, and you see what the kind of flop is. And then based off that, you have to discard 2 of your objective cards.
Yeah.
And those are ones you're going to be like, based off what's come out, I don't think I'm going to succeed in these ones. I'm going to discard those.
Yeah.
Then you draw out some more chips and you discard another card. Then you draw out some more chips and then you select which cards you're going to go for to score.
Yeah.
And then you draw out a couple final chips and then you see what scores, what doesn't, what scores you negative points, things like that.
Yeah, because if you don't fulfill a card, it scores you negative points. And the cards are all over the place. Some are worth like 5 points, but some are worth like 250 points because they're so hard to do.
Because there's ones like, if you draw out more of the chicken chips, which I think there's 3 total, if you draw out more of those than potato chips, of which there's like 9, you get like 1 billion points.
Yeah.
But the odds of that are so slim.
So you're constantly trying to be like, okay, there's 2 chickens, there's no potatoes out. So like, do I think I could go for this? Do I think I can go for this? But if you put it in, you just lost like 250 points. And so,
you could lose points. Depending on where you put it, on your positive side or your negative side, you can lose or gain points.
It's such a good push your luck game that has like no right being as fun as it is, but it just works. It works really well.
The packaging is so cool.
And the packaging, it's literally a bag of chips. It's great. It's like a hardy plastic bag, so it's not gonna die on you.
Yeah.
But it's really, really cool. And again, it's a great white elephant.
It's functional because you pull the chips out of that bag while you play.
And everything goes back in the bag when you're done. And it's a great white elephant because people are like, what is this? You're like, it's a game. I promise you it's really fun. It's a perfect white elephant gift. So yeah, Bag of Chips, Banana Artichokes, both great games, but look kind of weird from the outset. So they're great white elephant gifts.
So next we have games you can kind of play with the whole family.
Yeah,
you
just
can bring
generally,
anybody in.
Again, the extremes, like little kids obviously wouldn't, but like most you can play, you can pretty much play this with anybody in the family.
Absolutely. So this first one is So Clover, which kind of fits the party game vibe. This is a word clue giving game.
Yeah, a cooperative game where essentially you're going to have a 4-wreath clover. It's a dry erase clover. And you're going to be given 4 clue cards that you're going to randomly put in there. And these clue cards are square, and they're going to have a word on each side. And so at each clover, you're going to have 2 random words. It can be like robot and park. And then you have to write a clue that associates with both of those words, which is very difficult. And then on this side, you have 2 words, 2 random words, 2 random words. So you're going to write your 4 clues, and then you're going to take off the cards, add a 5th card just to mess stuff up, shuffle it all up, and then once everyone's done that, you're going to put your clover in the middle with your clues and go, here are the cards, and they have to then reassemble
You have to figure out, like, okay, based on all the different possible sides of each of these squares, like which 2 words go together. Then as you put them, if you were to put them into 2 sides, or 2 spots on the clover, what word's here and what word is here are both gonna fit to certain clues. You can actually start to put it together where you're like, well, okay, we had playground and we had sausage and we had like, hot dog and kids or something. So it's like, maybe this is the only place that this part of this clue card could go to.
This can't be turned this way because that makes no sense for this clue. Yeah. And everyone works together, obviously not the person who wrote the clues, and then they work together, and a lot of times they can get pretty darn close, and it's just really, really fun. You can also choose something like Just One, which is by the same company, Repos, for a family game. But So Clover is just so fun. It's one of these party word association cooperative games. We really, really enjoy it.
Really enjoy it. Another one you can do if you're down for a little bit of light murder is Micro Macro Crime City. Because it's so fun to just get this huge map. Basically, the whole game is this giant map. Kind of looks like Where's Waldo. There's all sorts of scenes and characters and buildings. It's this entire city. And within it, you have little characters, and you'll see a certain character appears multiple times, and it's actually them kind of working their way through the city. They're going through a story in time. All of it's laid out in this giant image.
Yeah.
And you have different cases that you're trying to solve based on this one big picture.
Yeah. And the beginning of the case will always be the end of the murder. It'll be the end of the case. And so you're like, okay, this is where
you kind of work your way backward, right?
And they'll say like, where was this person coming from? And then you have to look through and find it. And then once you find that, they'll be like, who were they with? And then you have to like go, you essentially work your way back through a story until you eventually get to the beginning of it. Or like the cause, the motive, whatever it is.
The original,
right?
the catalytic event that led to this person's demise.
It's really fun.
It's really fun. It's like literally you can take this map and stick it on a wall, and you can just like scan. And so like the fun thing is like everyone can kind of get into it because you can all be looking for this, these random little bits of information on this big picture. So it's kind of like a spot it kind of game. It's really fun. Again, like in the game, like, people are getting murdered. It's not like gruesome or anything that, but like, I guess you have to be down for that.
Yeah.
But we think it's really fun to kind of get everyone in just to pour over this like story and try to figure out like what happened here.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really weird, cool system. There's a couple of them now. There's like I think 3 of them.
Yeah.
So like, it's just a really cool idea. And it's great for like a big group of people who just kind of want to all get together and just kind of do a Where's Waldo type thing together.
I agree. So now, in the holidays, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, it's getting colder, getting kind of cozy and stuff. So we have kind of cozy holiday vibe, just chill games.
Yeah, there's not that many like holiday themed games. So this is kind of
there's more and more,
cozy, nice and warm. The first one is our favorite of this time of year, and that is going to be Gingerbread House, because Gingerbread House is themed around gingerbread houses, which are usually around December time.
Exactly. It's also made by Praise Be Phil Walker
Harding.
Praise
Be Phil Walker Harding.
Phil.
And this is a game where you are building out a gingerbread house, and you have these cool like domino tiles, which have mostly different kinds of icing on them. And then you're putting them in a little 3x3 grid. And then basically whatever you cover up with that new tile, you then get that. And that could be icing, or it could be, you could get different fairy tale creatures who are coming in to eat your house. And so you're essentially capturing them, and then you have to give them a certain amount of icing to essentially make them go away or whatever.
You're fattening them up, and as we say,
Probably murdering them. Let's be honest.
We don't get to that
They
part.
don't show that
You're
part.
capturing because you're a witch. They're eating your house.
They're eating your house. And so you're essentially trying to collect this icing and stuff like that to then be able to collect these cards, all these different fairy tale creatures.
Yeah.
It's very, very cool, and it's just very fun, but it's very cozy. There's also a lot of like combos you can get in the game.
Big time combos.
Big time combos. It's really, really fun, and it works all the time, but it works so well at this time of year.
Yeah, the first time we ever played it was around like the holidays, and like so it's just we have a great association with this game, Gingerbread House. It's really, really fun.
Yeah.
Another one is literally about building a home called Dream Home.
Yeah,
very light, very chill. It's ultimately kind of like a set collection game.
Yeah, kind of.
Because you're trying to put these cards out into areas of your home to kind of build out your living room and your bathrooms and your kitchen and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's just got a cozy feel because you're just building out your little dream home, and there's lots of stipulations where like it's a 2-story house, and then you also have a garage, and so you want a bathroom on each story. If you don't have a bathroom on each story, your house is not as good. You want a kitchen in a certain spot. There's only certain things that can go like in the garage. There's certain things you want like next to other things. So, but it's a very light puzzle.
You're decorating rooms with certain tokens and elements that kind of spruce things up.
And then you have like different kind of like power cards you can get, but it's ultimately pretty light. And it's just really, like I said, really comforting, really cozy.
Yeah.
Really, it doesn't have any like holiday theming on it, but it just works in that kind of cozy vibe. And I don't know, this is a game I feel like gets overlooked a lot. Like no one really talks about Dream Home yet. I think it's a really good little game.
Yeah, I think it's an underrated kind of light family weight game for sure.
Yeah.
But that's Dream Home. So if you want to, getting cozy and holiday, build yourself a home for the holidays.
A way to do it.
Now we're going to get into some kids games, because oftentimes there's kids around and stuff, and you want to have something for them to do as well. So a couple picks we have. One is Coconuts, or it's also known as Crazy Coconuts. This is a game that has pure like toy value to it. Because in this game, you have these monkeys that have these spring-loaded arms. They're holding it like this, and you'll load this little kind of vulcanized, like rubber coconut into their hands, and then you pull it down, and it's just a catapult. It just launches a coconut behind them. And in the middle of the table are all these cups, and you're hoping to land a coconut in the cup to collect that cup. If you collect 6 cups, you win.
It's kind of beer pongish.
It's beer pongish and stuff, but for kids, this game is redonkulously fun because it's just launching these coconuts, and they're not perfectly round, so when they bounce, they go all sorts of crazy directions. You can pull off amazing shots. You can have amazing shots go poorly.
Yeah.
It's just silly and fun. If you launch into someone else's cup, you steal that cup. It's just a pure toy value thing that we really love. Yeah. I know kids will get super into.
Because it's also, you could play the game, or you could just put cups in the middle and let the kids go wild. Right? Like you could play with rules, you could play with not. It doesn't really matter, right?
It's perfect. It's such a fun time.
Super cool. The next one we have is you're probably gonna play this with super low kids because young kids because you do have some rules, and this is Strike.
Yeah.
But Strike is another little dexterity game that's so much. It's again has no right to be as fun as it is, but it's really fun.
It's great.
You have a little 3D arena. And the arena's got like a little padded springy thing on the bottom, and you have these gladiators, which are just dice. And essentially what you're doing is you're throwing these dice into the arena, and you're trying to essentially get pairs because you don't want to run out of dice. You have a certain amount, and then you throw it in there, and then after you throw it, if there's any pairs in there, you get to take the pairs, and then it moves on to the next person.
It can be more than two.
Yeah,
it's just
exactly.
Any of you want to roll the same number.
Sets, I should say, instead of pairs. So and that way you get more dice, and then it moves on to the next person. And it's just like, there's all this like ways go, and also like instead of being a 1 on there's just an X. So if you ever roll an X,
they're gone.
They're gone.
You ever roll it out of the arena, they're gone.
And you can throw as many times as you want, as long as you don't get a set. And you can choose to stop whatever. So you can throw 1 and be like, all right, I'm stopping. You move on. And then if ever the arena is empty when it gets to you, like say there's only 2 dice in there, Mike throws it, and all of a sudden 3 threes come up. He takes all this, arena's empty. You then have to take all your dice and just roll them in there.
See what happens.
Now, chances are you'll probably get at least 1 set.
Yeah, but you never know.
But you never know. And you're basically going around and around and around until one person has dice left.
Everyone but one has lost all their dice.
And it's just so much fun. This is something you can play with little kids. You can play with adults. You can just have them throw it in there and teach them little rules. It's just such silly fun.
Very simple rules. It's got another great kind of like toy value to it in the way that the kind of cushioned bottom will bounce the dice in weird ways. It's super duper fun, and like you can get way into it because there's big swings of like great stuff happening and then terrible things happening
all over the place.
Strike is just Strike and Coconuts. If you can't have fun playing those, I worry about your ability to have fun, period. Like, they are just silly good times. So just enjoy them for exactly what they are.
Okay, so the next one we're going to have, this is kind of getting into more like gamery games. We'll call these like step up games.
If you have some family members or people, friends and stuff who've like played a couple things,
played like
you want to like
a Carcassonne,
bring them in a little bit more.
Just a little bit more, not too much heavier. Some of these games you could use as like gateway games essentially, but no, let's kind of slight step up. So the first one's gonna be King of 12.
Yeah,
this is a great little game that we played a bunch during the summer, and we actually demoed this at Gen Con with Lucky Duck Games.
Yep.
But this is a game where it's gonna be a simultaneous selection game, and it kind of getting in people's heads and trying. So especially if you have like a family or friends who like really love to like try to get in each other's heads and stuff, this is a great one. And basically you're gonna have all the exact same hand of cards.
Yeah, there are all these different action cards. So we know what everyone has.
You know what everyone has. And basically you want to end the round with essentially the highest die possible.
Yeah.
You have a 12-sided die and you're gonna roll it, and you could end up with a 12 or you could end up with a 1. And essentially these cards a lot of times are gonna manipulate your dice, at least virtually. So it might add things to your dice. So you could be like, this die for this round is a 10 or a 12 or something like that. But if 2 people play the same card, they're gone. So you can really try to like really min-max the whole thing. Like, okay, Mike doesn't have that card anymore because I know he just played it. I think I'm the only one with this card. So if I played this and then it turns out you were wrong, and it works really, really well.
Yeah.
And there's kind of a base set of cards that suggests you start with, but there's multiple cards. So you can like swap cards in and out.
So you can change the variety between game to game, and it's always like a memory piece of like, have they played this card yet? I think I'm okay to play this now. Did they hang on to it from before?
It's so fun. It's really, really good. And it's again slightly more complicated, but it just works really, really well. And it just goes over really well with people who play it.
I totally agree. Yeah, really fun game. Another one that you can do, the step-up game, is Cascadia.
It just goes over well.
Super simple rule set in terms of what you're doing. You're choosing a tile, and it's matching token. And the tile will have landscapes, 1 or more landscapes on it, and you can place it anywhere that's touching one of your other hex tiles that's down already. You kind of want to build up matching areas of the same landscape, but you don't have to. And then you're going to put your animal token that came with it onto any tile so long as it can support that animal token. It'll show what tokens that it can sustain, if it's a salmon or whatever, right there on the tile.
Yep.
That's all you're doing on a turn. It's as simple as that. But you want to, based on the animal cards you have this round, you want your animals to be in certain kinds of groupings or all spread apart or different things like that. Yeah. And so that's where the kind of variety of that puzzle comes into play. If you're like, okay, I want all my elk and stuff, but you know, they need to be in a straight line this time or whatever. It's just the biggest clump possible. And the bears, you want to have like one bear on its own, a pair of bears, and 3 bears together. And if I get all 3 of those things, I get all these points and then bonus points. So you need to keep them. Hawks need to all be separate. They can't be next to another hawk because they're these apex predators or whatever.
Sure.
And then you're kind of building out, hopefully if you have the largest area of like mountain range or something in the game, you can get bonus points that way. So there's just...
It just works.
It's just this kind of fun little puzzle. It's infinitely playable, as we say, because it's just... The rules are so easy. It's so smooth. It's pretty.
It just gets to the table.
You know, there's like 4 versions of each of those animals that are all like similar to each other. The salmon always work in a similar way, but now you want to go for really long runs of salmon or several short runs of salmon. So there's some variety there.
And again, it's just like you grab a tile, you grab a thing, you put in your thing, and that's it.
Done.
That's the whole thing.
So
and this one, the Spiel of Stars, now that I'm thinking
about
it.
Yes. For good reason.
Cascadia just goes over well with so many different people. It's a perfect, like, you could probably teach it to people who haven't played modern board games before. Yeah. But it's a perfect kind of like just slight next step game. It just works so, so well. And people love it, and we love it too. It's really, really good.
Absolutely. It's a great step-up game. Still easy rule set and stuff, but it gives you some puzzly vibes that'll help you out.
So this next one is going to be for, we're going to say more established games. So this isn't like these isn't like big, heavy games and stuff like that, but this is for people who are...
Blades. You're not down?
Yeah, I would say people who are like, are in the hobby, like definitely maybe have a couple games, and you're kind of trying to push them in deeper. You're trying to corrupt them a little bit more.
Big time corruption.
So the first one we're going to talk about is It's a Wonderful World / It's a Wonderful Kingdom. It's a Wonderful Kingdom is just a 2-player version of It's a Wonderful World. They're both great. They're both very, very similar ultimately. But It's a Wonderful World is so much fun.
Card drafting engine building game.
Yeah, where you're drafting out these cards, and these cards will have essentially a certain amount of materials that they need to be built.
To be constructed, yeah.
And then once they're constructed, mostly what they'll do is give you materials. And so and you will start off with kind of a special... I don't know, duchy.
You're a duchy, or you're like a nation.
Yeah, you're like a nation, and you'll always have some kind of production going on.
Yep.
And so as the game goes on, you're drafting these cards, and you're getting these production, and then you'll run all your production, and then all those things you'll then just put onto your cards, and then hopefully build more. And there are certain cards that are like very, very easy to get into play, but they don't give you a ton. But there's some that are really, really hard, and they might give you like a ton of points at the end of the game.
Yeah, because not every card, in fact, a lot of the cards do not actually provide you points. They just provide you stuff to work your engine. And it really comes down to eventually having enough resource production
to kind of switch.
So you can then switch into cards that are going to start scoring you points. They take more resources to build.
Yeah.
And then there's kind of like some set collection elements in there, because sometimes the scoring condition is like, hey, for every blue card you get 2 points. So now I'm going to try to specialize and just get those blue cards. And again, it's a card drafting game. So as all these hands of cards are coming by, you're just trying to pilfer as many of the blue ones as you think you can build as possible. Other ones will also give you it'll give you a yellow resource for every green card you have. So now it's not points, but it'll help, again, generate that engine.
With that set collection,
but they're all things of that kind of set collection-y nature. They're pretty easy to understand, and it's just about getting this like quick, big engine going and trying to find a way to make it give you points, which I am never good at that part.
Yeah.
But I love the building of the engine part.
Yeah, and it's so much fun. It is just an absolute blast. It's one of those games that just keeps getting better and better and better every time you play it.
I agree.
It's really, really fun. So that's It's a Wonderful Kingdom. And the other one is Juicy Fruits, which is a game I feel like came out and like people are like, oh, cool, and then just went away.
Yeah, it's a game that we really enjoy because it's got the chunkiest fruit pieces ever.
Gosh,
it's so satisfying. It's ultimately a light game, but it has this really fun, interesting kind of slide puzzle in it. That's how you generate the fruits that you're going to ultimately sell. It's just kind of contract fulfillment stuff. Yeah. Really simple. So in Juicy Fruits, you have these different baskets that'll be each connected to one of the types of fruit. So like limes, for example. And you have different elements on your island. So you start off with kind of like a little 3x3 grid. And if you take the lime one, for example, you can choose one direction and slide it as far as it can go that direction before it bumps into something. If it bumps into a tile of any kind, it stops. And if I went 1, 2, 3 spaces over before it bumped, I will get 3 limes. And that's how you're going to produce your fruit. So you're kind of like moving stuff to stay out of the way so you can move it up here and get bananas and all this stuff to get the right resources and then sell the boats, because there's all these boats around the island that are going to
This one wants like 2 limes and 2 pomegranates or something like that.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, as soon as you can turn that in, you can get rid of that boat, which does a couple things. A, gets you some points. B, it opens up the spaces on your island. So now you can really slide stuff even further, get stuff out of the way. And the slide puzzle is actually really fascinating.
Yes.
It's ultimately a light game. You're just collecting fruit and then turning in fruit for contracts. But the way you work your little puzzle is so cool.
Yeah, you're also allowed to turn in fruit for other kind of special buildings, essentially, that you can then put, like in one's like an ice cream stall or like some kind of fruit thing. And
some
you
are
put
just
them,
points, some are going to give you abilities. And
yeah,
stuff.
and so you put those in there, but then those can't move. So you're putting them in your kind of like plantation, your farm area.
Yeah, right.
And so you're also kind of like, okay, if I put this here, now
does that
I can't
affect my
move
puzzle?
quite so far in this way. And it's just really, really fun. Again, really good production value.
There's kind of the great balance between like open up my island and then fill it in with stuff again.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just really, really, really good. It's super fun, and it's a great kind of next level because you're just like, for established people, because you're thinking of like contract fulfillment, you're also thinking this really weird spatial puzzle. It's just really, really good. Yeah,
it's a really fun game. Light overall, but that puzzle gives you you can get slick with it, which is very cool.
Yeah.
Next thing we're doing is like 2-player games. Sometimes you're just giving a gift to one person. You want to play a game with that person, whoever that might be, a friend or a rival. And you can play some games, someone you hate. So a couple of 2-player games that we recommend this holiday season. One is a tried and true that we love is Codenames Duet.
It's just good.
Again, Codenames is a party game, which would work with you play with any one category if you want to do that. It's a word game, clue-giving game where you give a one-word clue. There's a grid of 25 words in Codenames Duet between the two of you, a grid of words. And you're saying, hey, brush 3. And you're going to try to look for 3 words that you think are related to the word brush in somehow.
some way.
So maybe there's comb, fire, and hair.
Sure.
There you go. And brush. Oh, I think I saw was 3. And as you make guesses, hopefully you're going to cover up some stuff. Yeah. But in Codenames Duet, what's really fun is that you have 15 words that you need to get between you.
Yeah, it's cooperative.
You each have 6 words that are like, these are only words if you guess them. And 6 that are only words if I guess them. Then there's 3 words that we both have, but we don't know which is which.
Yeah.
There's also 3 assassins, so that if you were to guess this word, we lose.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is like, if you were to guess this word, we lose. But it might, for me, be a clue you need me to get.
Yeah.
So there's all these things that kind of mess with your head now, because like in my head, I'm just trying to avoid this card altogether. And you're desperately trying to get me to pay attention, but I think it's dangerous because it's dangerous for me, but not for him, you know?
Yeah.
And there's these really fun ways to work it, but it's the same kind of core, give a word, this word relates to this many of the grid of words that we have between us, and you have to guess them. And I think 9 turns or something, so it's a very limited amount of turns.
It depends on how you're playing it, because
there's
like a little campaign you can go, which it's actually really fun. We didn't play through a lot of it, but nonetheless, it's just really fun. It's really, really good. I really like Codenames Duet. It's by far my favorite version of like Codenames-y kind of games. Yeah. It's just really, really good.
Highly recommend.
The other 2-player game is a game called Caper Europe, which is a really fun kind of like head-to-head game where you're both thieves and you are stealing stuff from somewhere in Europe. We played recently
you're in a city.
So we played like the Paris one, right? So you're stealing stuff from like the Louvre or something like that. And essentially there's a couple different things you're going for. There is going to be like different kinds of items at this place, like jewels or statues or whatever.
It's a little set collection.
Collection stuff. You can grab that, but you're also playing stuff on your side of the board to these different locations. And again, those might allow you to steal those things. They might allow you to essentially pull this like shifty mask over to you, which is you like controlling that area and stuff like that. And so you're playing stuff. It's just kind of this big tug of war game. Yeah. And you have these thieves, but then you also have like equipment you can put onto the thieves. And then on top of that, like the cards might give you points. Like for every blue card you have on, at this location, you get an extra point. And so you're also trying to get points.
Set collection stuff.
Through like set collection. And each of the cities you're at are slightly different in terms of what they want you to do.
Kind of what they focus on, what they reward you for.
Yeah.
And there are kind of general cards in the game, and then some cards that are city specific that'll have a flavor to them.
Yeah, and it's just a really fun head-to-head game. It's pretty darn quick.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool. You can like burn some other agents being like, play down this red card, like the agent's gone.
Get out of here.
Like, get out of here. And you're like, no, I needed that one. And so it's just really, really fun. Very cool heads-up
card drafting game.
Yeah, really good time.
Yeah, it's really fun. So that's one we recommend. It's new to us. It's a really fantastic production from Keymaster. Just like really well done. and it's a great 2-player experience.
Yeah.
So there's some games that we recommend you gift to people, because if you gift a game, that means you get to play that game. And so you're gifting it to yourself.
The best love. Yeah, indeed. And we want to do this a little earlier because we want to give people a little bit of time to get the gifts, right?
It's about that season where people are starting to think of this kind of thing.
So yeah, if you're in the part you're trying to get some gifts for the holidays, think about some games and think about stuff on this list. Again, there's going to be some more suggestions over on our Patreon. Make sure to check that out if you'd like to. And I think that is pretty much it, isn't it?
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you what games you've gifted to people with great success before, what games you would recommend, games you were hoping to get as a gift. Put that all in the comments below so that we can really get this conversation going. Until next time, I'm Mike.
I'm Nick.
We're the Brothers Murph. That's our holiday gift guide for you. Catch y'all next time. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching that top 10, it's not really top 10, just a categorized list of cool holiday games. Make sure to check out our channel sponsors, Restoration Games, Lucky Duck Games, and Board Game Geek. And want to give a big shout out to Bing Bong Anonymous, the hotline for Bing Bongs who are lost at life, I guess. Big shout out to Steve Amamoto, who is our wonderful, wonderful friend who is sponsoring the Brothers Murph this month and has set up Bing Bong Anonymous. Make sure to check it out at 1-800-555-5555.